Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Today is Friday, the 10th of July. My name is Felicia Holder. Welcome to Pep Talks in the Morning. Today, we are continuing our series of interviews with PEP candidates for the upcoming general election. Yesterday, we had Satish Ramsaran, who is the candidate for St. Augustine. The day before that, Michelle Davis would have interviewed our candidate for Port of Spain South, which is Gail Castander, and this morning we have Mr. Robert Matthew Gibbs, who is the candidate for Chaguanas East. Now, Matthew is 43 years old and attended Presentation College. He currently lives in Cunupia. His dad, Robert Gibbs Sr., was the CEO of GGG Limited. It's a real estate company, and his mother was a banker at Scotiabank. He was raised in a business-oriented home. He himself is a businessman, the managing director of One Warehouse Limited, which is a distribution, liquidation, and financial networking company. He has an interest in the automotive and motorsport industry, where his grandparents were founders of the Gabriel's Automotive and Mechanical Engineering Limited. Some of his interests include auto mechanics, autosports, automotive detailing, and some of his interests include auto mechanics, autosports, automotive dealing, sales and marketing. He's a business strategist, financial development, and networking. Let us please welcome Mr. Robert Matthew Gibbs on to Pep Talks in the Morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you, Matthew.
Good morning, guys. How's everyone this morning?
We are great. How are you this morning, Mr. Chaguanas East?
I'm fine. Looking forward to today and every other day after that.
Yes, today is actually one of the first steps, one of the first important days in a series of important days that are going to lead up between now and the most important day. Exactly, today's the 10th of July. On the 10th of August, it's going to be a day that changes the lives of 41 people in Trinidad and Tobago. Robert Matthew Gibbs, you yourself being one of them. But are you let the world know what is happening today in terms of your nomination process?
All right. Well, this morning I have to go see the returning officer for my constituency, where I have my documents to submit. They are going to go through it, examine it, and through EBC they'll move forward after that. So we're all hoping for the best today, which I'm sure going to be very successful, because I do look forward to being and providing true representation with a level of humility in my constituency.
Yes. Today, like Matthew pointed out, is that day that you go through your first review of papers. I remember when I did local government election, and it was just so much running around and so much craziness to do. I actually wanted to do a live video, well, not a live video, but a video about this yesterday under the heading of PEP policy deepening democracy. Because Matthew, I'm not sure what the process for you has been like, but we have across all of our candidates who are presently trying to get their information. I know there are several who are hearing something from their returning officer versus what they are hearing, what others are hearing. My returning officer, she was fairly nice when I met her yesterday for the first time, and the information that she gave me was completely different from what some people heard. Some people were actually told that their returning officers were not giving them their numbers. Mine gave me hers. So it's been a very, if I have to say, if you did not have the support of a political organization like the PP members have, you would have been like a fish out of water. Actually, a man who's running as an independent called me sometime this week, I believe, and he was so frazzled. He asked me, he said, I want somebody to run. There was a guy who is a part of my political party, and I want him to run. I can't, because snap elections code, I can't afford to pay for him to run under me. So I was hoping he could run under the umbrella of PEP. I was like, well, okay, that's a first. I didn't realize that the election bell ringing means that people hopping all over parties right now. But okay. I asked him, what's the name of the gentleman? He's like, I honestly can't remember right now. I said, dude, guy, you running for election. You had this man as part of your political organization. You're now calling me to ask me if he could run under my political organization. And you don't even know his name? He's like, sorry, everything is just so crazy right now. And I mean, it is a kind of crazy time. You have to make sure your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed. Because if you want to be nominated and you don't want to miss out on something, and I swear there is a lot of red tape as it pertains to being nominated. One of the first hassles being that $5,000 deposit that you have to raise. Another one being you have to find 6 recommenders who have to be registered in the constituency, get your documents signed by a commissioner of affidavits. And it's almost like they don't want people to challenge the present democratic system, if you can call this a democracy. But Robert being one of and I'm calling you Robert from now on because you're going to be Robert on the ballot paper, I'm assuming. Robert being one of the
Yes.
people who is undergoing this process, I'm sure you would have experienced it firsthand, just how almost pretentious the process can seem, but I think it was designed that way to keep as many people or scare them away from the process as possible. But like I said, PEP, we're not afraid of a challenge, so we're going forward. And you are going forward this morning to your returning officer to have your papers checked out, right?
Yep. Yep. Through this experience, it
That's
has been very tedious, very, very tedious, Felicia. And you're right. Looking at it, it seems that it has been designed to deter anyone because with this spontaneous election being called, everybody is up in arms. Honestly, and there's a lot of conflicting reports where one officer tells you this, another officer will tell you that you need this, and it's nothing standardized. So everybody is somewhat up in arms about it because of the short span of time that we need to get everything done. I mean, thankfully, I got a lot of my stuff done. There's still one or two things I need to go do this morning. Like in God's will, I will get through. So I have no worries about that.
I made an error in one of my forms. I hope they accept that. Hey. Listen, and it's so the error was so stupid though, because on one paper she told me to scratch out a particular line. So on the other paper, I scratched out that line, not realizing that the terminology used on that line, because this is the same form that it also used for local government. And that is where it also gets confusing, because they have the 3 different scenarios under which you can represent your country. So they have a line that says member of the House of Representatives, member of the borough of wherever, and member of the electoral district. So depending on whichever one you're going up for, whether you're going up for the mayor, whether you're going up for the mayor of a borough or city corporation, whether you're going up for the as a member of parliament, which is the same thing as the House of Representatives, or whether you're going up as um, a local councillor, it's the same form. But depending on what you're going up for, you have to cross out certain terms versus others. And that is where it gets confusing. And I have to say, in this day and age, I absolutely cannot believe that we cannot have a much more simplified process for registering as a candidate for an upcoming election. I saw, yes, I met with somebody, and I saw his form looks completely different from mine. I mean, it's the same information, but his form is long and on legal paper. Mine is on truncated on letter paper. Mine looks like a photocopy. His looks like an original. But I'm going with what my returning officer and my elections officer gave me. But again, there seems to be to be no standardized thing. Somebody called her returning officer on Tuesday. She said she had no forms, and I'm like, lady, but you're aware that on Friday is the day that we have to check these things. We have to get this document signed by 6 proposers. We have to get it stamped by a GP. We have to get it reviewed. Again, the process seems very, very convoluted for what is supposed to be us, deepening democracy, and it seems anything but. And the Progressive Empowerment Party, we see it to get rid of that $5,000 necessary to contest an election. All of this nonsense is a simple meeting, a simple change of procedure with the EBC. At this point, you should be able to register online. I can't believe you cannot register online to
Yes.
represent
Yeah.
your country. I cannot believe
That's so
that.
true.
Yesterday,
Yeah.
our one of the executive assistants for PP, she sent me a document, a Google form that asked me to fill in all of my registration information. It took me all of a minute and a half. Why we can do that for local government election? I mean, for general election. Why we can't do that for any election in this country that is supposed to give people the opportunity to represent their constituency, represent their country, and actually make a difference.
Mhm. Agreed. I'm
Anyway,
very much agreed, Felicia.
so we've had that discussion on the electoral process. Since you have Matthew, and your questions are a little different because you were on my program a few weeks ago before you were nominated as a candidate. Now you are here as the candidate. So I'm talking to you a little bit one-on-one. So before I ask you to tell the nation a little bit more about yourself, how has the um how has it been for you? What has life been like since being announced as the candidate under the Progressive Empowerment Party for Chaguanas East?
Well, it has been a bit hectic, but nothing has really changed as much as before. But with the support of the party, it made a lot of this stuff easy for me to go through. Because again, I always say I have the greatest support team in the world, which is the Progressive Empowerment Party. Um, in my constituency, a lot of people are now recognizing the fact that they have a third option because history showed us and past experiences has given to us that that have served in the position before has never functioned in any capacity. A lot of the people within the constituency said that, yes, I'm a diehard this, yes, I'm a diehard that. But I asked them afterwards, said, well, if you're a diehard supporter of your preference, what has it been like for you? Their general response was, we gave the person a chance and nothing has ever changed. Nothing has ever been done. Examining the policies under the Progressive Employment Party, that is what turned a lot of the minds of some of the people, because what they are seeing now is a chance for real change, a chance for real opportunity. And the type of person that I am, being an aggressive businessman, that is what I tell people, that is what I explain to my constituents. My approach for my constituency will be an approach of energy and enthusiasm in which I want to inspire a lot of the youths, because we have a lot of things put in place in our policies that will give the youth an opportunity to develop themselves, whether it's technical in a vocational aspect or an educational aspect. The constituency of Chaguanas East, I will generalize and say Central. Central has a lot of resources that we can now take and make sustainable employment, because Central is more the agricultural sector of Trinidad and Tobago. We have a lot of land available where we can now give to farmers to produce food, because if we cannot feed ourselves for this year, anybody can hold us to ransom. We can never be an independent nation if we cannot eat. We cannot move forward if we don't have food on the table. Agriculture is one of the most important factors in economic growth and growth as a people and growth as a country moving forward, because food is the number one priority for everyone. That's what we need. After that, we need employment. And we really need to sum it up. I can go on and on for hours and days, but to sum it up, we really need proper representation and good governance. Good governance and proper representation should be carried forth within our central government structure, where they now lead by example. I explain to people that over the years, we have been cultured to believe that we serve those elected. But as an employer, I will tell people, if I'm paying your salary, you now become my employee. The general public of Trinidad and Tobago, we pay taxes. Whether you like to admit it or not, and you say, no, I will never pay taxes. If you buy a diamond, you're paying taxes, which means now those taxes goes towards paying the salaries of our elected governors, which means now they are to serve us. The narrative has to be changed in this country. People have to open their eyes, know their constitutional rights, and realize, hey, you're put there to serve me. You're not put there so I can serve you or be at your beck and call or at your ransom. This is where, according to you, please, we need a proper democracy. And people must have that understanding of how things work. Without that level of education and information, you'll be left under a rock, because anyone can tell you anything, and now you want to believe that, not knowing what your rights are. And your rights as a person under the Constitution, you have the right to question. You have the right to proper representation. And if that cannot be provided, then where are we? Where are we really? Over the past 20 odd years and more, is red for yellow, yellow for red. Why are we keep doing this? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result every time. We need to change. Let's get on to brass tacks. Trinidad and Tobago, please understand, we need to change. This is the 21st century. We are no longer running around with loincloths and clubs. We have a greater understanding. We live in a digital age, and you're right. This electorate, this process should have been simplified where we could have done it online. If you have to pay that ridiculous fee of $5,000, you use PayPal or whatever process, but make it simple, because now, yes, a lot of us have experienced that. I myself, where you cannot get your nomination papers in time. When you do get it, you have to run around like a no-head chicken trying to gather the information and fulfill every checkbox within those specs. And it has been a very tedious process, because they threw elections on us, and with that has deadlines to achieve certain things to qualify you as a candidate. I think, my personal opinion, I could be very well wrong and I stand to be corrected. I think that this was done to ensure that the competition is less, because a lot of I would say, the greater parties or the more dominant parties, they have seen and they are experiencing the strength of the Progressive Empowerment Party. We are doing the jobs of those elected. We are not here for a salary. We are not here for name and fame. It has been established. The PEP is here for change, and we want to provide that. We want to be those people that give you that opportunity and be your voice. My portfolio as member of parliament will be that link between the people and government, where I now will take the tears of the people, the cries, the woes, and the issues, and have it addressed on a parliamentary level and get it resolved for the people. When has that ever been done? Felicia, this is my question to Trinidad and Tobago. When has that ever been properly done? Recently, like I did on one of my videos, someone sent me a photo of their rim cracked, tire destroyed. The shock on the vehicle has ruptured by a pothole in my constituency. Do we need to drive in fear every time we see a puddle of water, thinking that it's a crater? Because this is what the person told me. They said it was just a little puddle looking like a puddle on the road, not knowing it had some depth and it destroyed that person's tire and rim. We always like to compare ourselves and compare how things are done here to the US. Had that happened in the United States or any progressive country, somebody would have lost their job and a lawsuit would have already been filed. Let's face that fact. From my understanding, my family here, us, the Progressive Empowerment Party, we want to put accountability on every level. This now means that individual will have the right for a claim, and somebody has to answer a question why that hole has been there. That video I did got over 3,000 something views. And if out of one of those views was not the mayor or somebody within the corporation to address that, well, what does that tell you? What does that now say? We have people in positions that it just doesn't matter to them. But no, areas like Lange Park and this and that and those more upscale areas are tended to immediately. That cannot happen in such areas. But what about where the grassroots people live? What about those areas, which is the majority of areas? Come on, we have to provide that level of representation. We have to be an example. The money that passed through Trinidad and Tobago, trillions of dollars. Dubai should have been looking at us as an example. Why are we glorifying everyone else? We're supposed to be the capital of the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago, the wealthiest nation on this side of the earth per capita. Why aren't we there? Why do the people in Trinidad and Tobago have so much little peeves that are so simple to fix? These are the things that we intend to change, and I intend to change. And I'm not going to let anyone get in my way of representing my people, because then you and I will have an issue. And I think that if the voice of the people is heard, we can change this country. We need a level of impartiality expressed by these politicians, if you want to term them politicians, because that word politician, the definition of that has now changed because of our concept on how we view politicians. Again, politicians are our servants. They are there to represent our needs, our constituencies, and our lives. If such cannot happen, well, then that person is in the wrong position. This is where we want to put forward recall legislation. So the person with that portfolio does not perform, well, then there goes your job. Because you are now hired and put in a position to fulfill the responsibilities to the best of your ability of that said portfolio. And if you're the best of your ability is not getting the job done, well, here's what, goodbye. It does not make sense, because I, as an employer, I'm not going to pay an employee to sit down and do nothing whole day because it's a glorified position. No, that can't happen. That will not happen under my watch. We need somebody with the testicular fortitude to get up and say enough is enough. The people comes first. The representative, your need is the last. It's the last to be attended to, because of my books, those that who I put there to serve are the more important people. Like my grandmother always used to say, the most important person in any establishment is the same person who taking out the garbage, who cleaning the floors, who doing all of that. That is one of the most important people in any establishment. And in her business, she used to treat that person with the level of respect, like if that person is within management. This is where we need to be. We need to give respect to each and every one. And if we cannot do that, Felicia, if those in those respective portfolios cannot fulfill it, well, then we have a serious problem. Because I totally agree with the concept of I'm your MP. That's the only portfolio I need, because everything else is going to be distracting me from my duties of carrying it out to my people, who I put there to serve. That is the job of the member of parliament or
All
any
right,
other person.
I'm going to interject here because you've been speaking straight for about 50 minutes now, which is quite fine. I know you have a lot to say, but I want to get into the meat of your job as a member of parliament. Should you be, and we are all very much hoping to be the next elected members of parliament for each of the constituencies that we're representing. Should you be elected as the member of parliament for Chaguanas East, You are basically going to be the chairman of well, once the Progressive Empowerment Party implements our planned and intended constituency board of supervisors, you would be the chairman of a board of supervisors that contains a supervisor of health, a supervisor of education, a supervisor of public utilities, a supervisor of public works, and a supervisor of security. You
Security.
being the
Yeah.
chairman of this board, Matthew, how do you intend to run your board as it pertains to dealing with work in your constituency? You were saying earlier that somebody sent you a picture of a bent rim and a busted tire. This would fall under public works and or
Mhm.
public utilities, because that hole in the road could have been caused by a busted pipe, which is the responsibility of WASA to fix. But then that hole which needs repairing would would need, of course, someone, the supervisor, the input of the supervisor of public works, etc. In the past, or presently as we know it, WASA would come, patch, somebody would come, fix the road, then WASA would come, dig it up, then somebody will come back and fix it again some months later. Then WASA would come and dig it back. What do you plan to do to ensure that all of our systems are functioning and operating within your constituency as it should?
Well, Felicia, to answer that question, I will make things so simple. People will be amazed because, again, I am going to be, I won't say ruling, but I'm going to ensure that this process is seamless. It does not require a degree, it does not require a rocket scientist to figure this out. A pothole, like you rightfully said, can be a result of many factors. Let's just say it was a busted water line. The assessment has to be made where, okay, why has that line ruptured or become defective? Issue the repairs for that. Then we now have the team to fill that hole, repair it properly. I don't want to see anybody fixing a line like the Southern Main Road close to Chin Chin Junction, not too far, about 5 footsteps away from the Ministry of Works office, which is abandoned. If you see the condition there, somebody would have been out of a job this morning. I'm telling you, because that I will not tolerate. I'm very sorry and I make no apologies. That I will not tolerate. You're telling, and that hole that was initially there, that is how myself and other residents used to find out if we have water, because you'd see it running on the main off of the main road itself through a crack in the road, which has now developed into almost a crater. They did repair it, but again, the job that has been done, it is unsatisfactory. I will never accept that level of incompetence. I will never accept it. I'm very sorry, and again, I make no apologies because our taxpayers, their dollar must have value. It is we are already experiencing economic difficulties. It is hard for someone to pay tax or spend their money for a service and it's not being provided. Or if it is provided, it at its lowest level. I want to live in a community and a constituency where I don't have to worry about that pothole. But not to stray too much up from the point. Again, Felicia, I would make an assessment of the area. I would have different teams every week, if it's once a week, twice a week, checking the various communities within the constituency and use a sensible approach. Okay, we do not pave roads, then fix pipes. How the hell could that work, really? How could that work? That is spending money twice. Because after you pave the road, you dig it up and you have to go and resurface that said area, which is never, ever done properly. So let's identify where the issues are, what causes the infrastructural demise of the road, address it, have it repaired, and then lastly resurface the area. Because I am not going to be spending money to fix a hole, or in fact pave a road, fix a hole, and then repave the surface. It's not done properly, and I'm back to square one. This process clearly shows me that there is a cycle, that money needs to be paid to whoever. That is going to stop. That will not happen under my watch. I'm very sorry. All of these things, again, my constituency, they have an issue with unemployment. Like many times, Felicia, I'm sure you're fed up hearing me saying this. During the lockdown, why didn't we bring out the unemployed people, those who had suffered that blow? Why didn't we bring them out and give them work to do within the communities and pay them? This is what the Progressive Empowerment Party plans to do. These policies that we have, we should rename them and call them solutions, because that's exactly what they are. One of our policies will solve two problems or three problems. Let's just say, for example, our flooding, our stance on flooding, where we want to build the retention ponds. Building the retention ponds, you say, employment. Okay, treat, trap, hold, treat, and release that same water. Water 24 hours a day. What are we with one policy, three solutions? Why couldn't anybody with any form of progressive thinking, because that is what Chaguanas at this critical time, that is what my constituency of Chaguanas East needs. We need someone with a progressive vision for the future of my constituency, which is something I think for a fact, and I know because I know who I am, that I will provide that level of representation. I'm a no-nonsense, straightforward person. Under all the smiles, all the grins, all the jokes that I like to make, when it comes down to work, let's get it done, please, because I do not tolerate incompetence. And all governments, and I spare none, has redefined that word incompetent, especially right now. We have leaders that is putting this country at risk in terms of sanctions and what have you. I don't know the full details of that side of life, but listening to the response of the public, observing, listening to the US news, looking at reports that has been put out, we're not that far from that. Why don't we have leaders or representatives of our country that will make the financial decisions to benefit us all? In my company, my personal business, I started off as a mechanic. Also, I had an automotive detailing section, which I'm qualified and certified by Penton International in. After which, the one rule that I've learned, you take your competition and make them your clients. So now I started to provide the chemicals and the materials needed to carry out that type of work, having the same types of business surrounding me. When I don't have work, I know I still have an income. The point I'm trying to get at here, you're looking at economic diversification. You need to take, all right, if this doesn't sell today, this have to sell tomorrow. If we're not making enough money off of this, here's what. Okay, we built an economy off of oil. Eventually, times will change. We're now moving into what you call an electric age. All right, so oil will not have that value as it used to, because oil provides lubrication, gas, what have you, to propel vehicles and for us to function as a society. We're moving into an electric age where solar energy is now being looked at. And the intelligent leaders of different nations are now using that because you know what? It is clean energy. All of these things is what we should have been looking at. Economic diversification, we should have revamped our agricultural sector. During the lockdown, we should have had people preparing the road access to those state lands. We should have been getting in contact with the ex-farmers, offering them packages like, okay, for example, you take 10 acres, you are doing poultry. You take 10 acres, you're doing tomatoes and peppers. You take 10 acres, you are doing rice. We should have had all of these things being enacted from the time of shutdown till now. In fact, from 2015 and before, we should have had these things put in place rather than stand up and say, tighten your belt. By you telling me tighten my belt shows me you're absolutely clueless in what you're going to do. Because if I inherit a company that is in a lot of debt, I must find a way to take it out. It may be a tedious task at time, but with a level of intelligence that has not been displayed by our present administration. We clearly see you're not the people for the job. Last administration, self-explanatory. We clearly see you're not prepared for the job because under the last administration, I would guess, and I will always say, and I will be a man and stand up and say, I stand to be corrected. But it's apparent to me, due to the cost and cost overruns that they have embarked on with various projects, maybe a bag of cement costs $100,000 because that is the price, given to us for some of their projects. So under the last administration, a grain of sand would have had a value. When I say that, it would have had a heavy cost. We don't need administrations like this in this country right now. We need people with a clear vision, with a level of, I'm not even going to say a level of education, but a level of intelligence. And most of all, we need true patriots to sit in those seats to carry out the jobs because politics has now become not about your country, it's about your pocket. Who could get in there first? Who could rape the treasury first? We have no accountability on that HSF fund. Those guys that rioted the other day, okay, hats off to you for whatever your cause is. Somebody needs to take a stand and demand an account down to the cent of that HSF. I personally would like to see a breakdown of that and then have a forensic auditor audit every aspect of it. We should have had laws in place where once you're in government and you leave, if you're the Minister of Finance and the country is in 300 million or 5 billion in debt, that is now out of your pocket, not the taxpayers. That is how accountability needs to be run. We need to remove certain things, certain stipulations from within parliamentary privilege that now tells you after 4 years, you're no longer accused of a crime. We need a justice system that will act now, not 50 years from now, where my grandchildren's grandchildren will be still fighting a case. All policies, all of what I'm speaking is what I have learned from the policies of the Progressive Empowerment Party. These are things that we need to put in place. We want to stand up as a people. We want to be a greater nation. We want to have that power, that level of leadership, put the right people in place. I am not going to accept anything less where I'm paying my taxes and I cannot have proper representation. This is what we need to be. This people of Trinidad and Tobago, listen and listen well. That is your right. Ask your questions. Demand proper representation. Let's not stand up here and settle for less. Why are we doing this? Yellow for red, red for yellow? No, that's insanity. Let's move forward. Let's give something new a chance. Let's give fresh faces, new ideas. Let's give people with integrity a chance to represent you and give you what you deserve as a nation, as a people. Because I personally, my peeve is going home every day and seeing a family on the side of the road asking for $1. Why we there? We're not supposed to be there. What are they doing? Where's our money? Why are you not spending it and taking care of the people who really need it? Why it is ministers can buy cars for $2.2 million US? Why they can live in penthouses that cost $10 and $20 million? And then you want to say that here's what I die hard? Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. We cannot live in this country this anymore, having to go through all of this and spending our money as taxpayers. Trinidad and Tobago, let us move forward. Let us use what God gave us, which is our natural intelligence. Stop committing and swearing your allegiance to people who don't give a damn about you. I'm telling you this because Felicia, who better to represent Chaguanas East than when I turn on my pipe, I and all can get water. I know the problems. Who better than to represent Chaguanas East when I have to hit a bottle, damage my vehicle too? Who better to represent Chaguanas East that I have to sit on in the same traffic and tolerate the same nonsense? This is what I am going to put a stop to by hook or crook. And I'm not going to let anyone get in my way of me defending my people because I'm telling you, we're going to have a problem. We are going to have a problem.
You led into my next question, which was going to ask, how are you as the representative for Chaguanas East? One question that we get a lot is that we've heard the red party say that they will do this, and we've heard the yellow party say they will do this. How are you, Robert Matthew Gibbs, going to be different? And I guess you sort of answered the question there, but if there's anything you would want to add to that, please feel free. This is your opportunity. How would you be different as the Member of Parliament for Chaguanas East after 58 years of broken promises?
Well, Felicia, let me tell you something. Eh? The one lesson I've learned in life, and I learned it the hard way, a promise is the comfort of a fool. I am not here to give anybody promises. I'm here to provide and offer solutions. Real solutions that will change our lives. Real solutions that will change our country, community by community, which will make us a more progressive nation. The name of our party, progressive. You understand? That is a key word, progressive, which means forward thinking. We can move forward. Bob Marley said that in many of his songs. Forward ever, backward never. We need to realize if you want to raid the barn, help plant the corn. What I'm saying, you want to be you want change? I did that. I decided to be part of the change. Because if you're not part of the change, then you're not part of the problem. And I'm not here to chastise anyone or put down anyone, but people don't swear allegiance to anyone if those people are not providing for you. A lot of people saying, well, oh, this party did this for me. Oh, but you know, when they were in power last time, I still get a little something, something. How? How? Really, how? You tell me how you get a little something, something. Kickbacks, obviously. People stood up and said, I want to raise pension to $3,000. And I be still can recover from that. And I be cannot recover from that. And I can tell you that with assurance, and I know why. People making promises on departments in this country that those departments cannot even sustain or uphold because they don't have the finances. And I may never even get reimbursed for that statement till today. What does that say? Again, a promise is the comfort of a fool. When I'm there in that position as the Member of Parliament, the representative for Chaguanas East, these are problems that we are not going to face. I'm telling you, these are problems we're not going to face. I'm not going to promise. I'm going to offer you a solution. I'm going to offer you a life-changing experience. A lot of us want change, but what I've realized, a lot of us are afraid of change because we are so accustomed being led. I observed the people are sheep. Those shepherds are sacrificing the sheep to the wolves. But the silver lining in this whole statement, I'm a lion. I will eat the wolf and the shepherd. Again, my people is my people. I will fight for you. My boxing gloves are on, you know. My bulletproof vest is there, metaphorically speaking. I am here to take that fight for the people, for government. And I'm going to make sure that it gets done. Because when I stand up and represent my people, I'm not asking, you know, I'm telling you this is what's going to happen. When I reach inside that parliament, I'm going to let them know this is not a topic for discussion. This is what is going to happen. Because I need my people to live and have a better tomorrow. My fight is for my future. My fight is for their future. And by future, I mean generations to come. We need people to put these things in place. As a parent and as a business owner, I have to secure my tomorrow. And my tomorrow doesn't mean tomorrow morning, you know. It means the day after that, the week after that, the month after that, and the years to come. Yes, I wear glasses, but I am not short-sighted. I have a long vision and a plan to fix my constituency policing. Seriously. And I
Well,
realize the other parties have no clue what they're doing. None.
Matthew, and that seems to be, you know, your advantage and the advantage, I have to say, of all the members of the Progressive Empowerment Party. I've been on my fair share of interviews. I've listened to a fair share of political parties go on platforms and speak. I see PNM is avoiding interviews like the plague, because they know that right now, as the incumbent government, that they would be questioned on their performance, their track record in the past 4.5, going on 5 years. And as the incumbent government, they have failed to live up to many of the promises. In fact, if you compare the PNM manifesto to what we have presently today, they have managed to avoid almost every single hot topic item that they campaigned on. Local government reform is not here. The procurement bill is still not being, it's non-functional. We write laws in this country and then park them up on a shelf and never use them for what I don't know. Again, more promises, more teeth for people head kind of business. What else? The PNM or the oil, they're asking for another 4 years to fix water. Maybe this 4 years that we had was first to see how much water we can collect as a country, particularly with all of the flooding we had last year and then back in 2018 with Greenvale. Not sure what or if this PNM was actually even aware of what they were doing in the past 4.5 years, but they're, them avoiding interviews like they don't want to be there. It tells a story that they clearly cannot answer to all of the promises that they would have made. Like you say, a promise is a comfort to a fool, and we Trinbagonians have been the clowns, the fools in the past 4.5 years, particularly all of us. And I say us because I include myself in that. I still ask God forgiveness for the day I went and I was crazy enough to dip my finger for Stuart Young. I hope he has found it in his heart to forgive me. I hope Portisville, North St. Anne's West have found it in their heart to forgive me. But in those days, I was ignorant as to the political and the electoral process. In those days, I didn't understand what a member of parliament should do and should mean. I didn't understand that whether you had a Balize or a Rising Sun or a PEP with an umbrella, 3 people under an umbrella next to your party name, that the idea wasn't about which party you come from, who you look like, what is your hair texture. The idea was that you get into that parliament and you be my voice. You be the voice of my community. You be the voice of my constituency. And now that I am educated in the political process, now that I'm educated in the process of the representation of the people and the Representation of the People Act, I am very much assuring you, Trinidad and Tobago. I'm assuring you on behalf of Matthew, I'm assuring you on behalf of the entire Progressive Empowerment Party leadership, executive, and membership that we will never, ever, ever put you in a position where you feel that you're voting for party card and for party logo and for party symbol. When you vote a representative of the Progressive Empowerment Party into office, you are voting for real representation. You are voting for solutions, like Matthew say, 21 solutions plus more, because there's more. 21 was just a sneak peek that we put out there. When you all see our manifesto, when you see our plans for water management and water distribution and water 24/7, which is what our advisory council headed by Kenneth Luke has been working for the past 3.5 years putting together. When you see these plans, when you see us do what we say we will do, you would realize for the first time in the history of our country what real representation feels and looks like. Matthew Gibbs, you have just about 10 minutes, and I have about 1 or 2 more questions for you, because tomorrow you wake up, or August the 11th, you wake up and you are the elected representative for Chaguanas East. What is one policy that you would definitely want to bring to the people?
The one policy I would like to see that we, not only me, but we as a party enacted first is recall legislation. Really and truly, we need that. We need a level of accountability in this country. But the first peeve I would attack in my community is that issue of water. There are so many that is priority. I think the first one is water. That matter of no water. I will have an investigation to find out where the problem lies and why it lies. again, with our policies, be it that we want to build the retention ponds and redistribute water, that alone in itself would solve a lot of problems. It would create employment, it would provide water 24/7, and it will deal with flooding. Yeah, and it would deal with the aspect of flooding. So these are some of the things, and I mean, as long as I get that position, that opportunity to serve my people, I am going to start to step on toes and ask questions. And if you cannot answer the question, you need to reconsider your level of employment. Because I will be coming down on anyone who is not functioning, because I don't believe in paying a salary to watch somebody sit down from 8 to 2 apparently, and you're not doing a single thing. That is not what you've been hired or elected to do. You've been vetted with the responsibility to serve your country, to serve your people. Get it done. That is my personal stance, my first action as the member of parliament, the representative of the people for Chaguanas East. I am going to make sure things start to get done right from the first day I sit down in that seat.
Very well said, Matthew. And in my last question, before I give you your space to address your constituents, the work has begun on the ground. I am assuming actually work has begun a while now. Somebody asked me in an interview, have we started campaigning on the ground yet? I said we've been campaigning for the past 3.5 years. This is not just in an election season. The PP has had boots on the ground in an effort to educate, empower, and inform citizens since 2017. So that work that you are doing on the ground now, what has the response from your constituents been like to you as their representative, to the solutions that you're presenting, to the Progressive Empowerment Party as a third option? What has the response been like?
Well, the response has been good, Felicia. I must say it has been overwhelmingly, surprisingly great. I really didn't expect, being the third option to have that level of response from within my constituency. But again, you see, the people within my community, they realize this is one of us. He knows what's going on. He's my daughter. He knows, and that's true. I know. I am one of you. I know what it's like to have to suffer under the hand of poor representation and poor leadership and poor governance and lack of common sense within. So, with that being said, Felicia, again, there are a lot of things that I would like to personally put my own touch on, and in those different levels, I will not be liked by some, because those people will actually have somebody who will make them do the job. I am not going to pay you to stand up at the side of the road for an hour or two and then you get an 8 hours pay. That ain't happening. Sorry. I'm not going to allow anyone to sit down in an office for 4 hours and they getting 8 hours pay. That ain't going to happen. Because when I ask a question, I don't want an answer with just now and no. I want an immediate response. Why is that pothole there? It has been 24 hours since a complaint has been made. Why is that there? And I'm not going to be like the other representatives who just sit their ass down in one place and don't give a damn about their own people that they claim to be their people. I am going to be a representative you're going to see it on a daily basis. Knocking on your door. Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. How are you doing today? How is your community this morning? Based on those responses, I'm going to take everything into my personal bags and deal with it. That is the assurance I'm going to give the people of Chaguanas East, because that is what we need. We're at a critical time. Ladies and gentlemen, our country has now reached a crossroad. You alone have that power to change the political landscape, to change the narrative, to change the level of thinking in this country. That is what we need. We don't need people here to provide promises. We don't need to live up in the clouds. We need to live in the real world, and the real world shows us that unemployment is a problem, food is a problem, water is a problem, flooding is a problem, infrastructure is a problem, this government and the last one is a problem. Because like I said earlier on, PNM they have been avoiding interviews because of their failed representation, their failed leadership, and their failed leaders. On the flip side, if we have an administration that is such an epic failure, we now have an epic failure of an opposition. The both works hand in hand. Because if you are elected to represent my people, and I so claim to love my people, then I should be making a fuss, right? I should stand up for your rights as the opposition. But as we clearly see, the exact same failure that this administration gives to the people is the exact same failure as an opposition has provided. Those two cannot provide any solutions. Lip service and false promises gets us nowhere, people. Let's not be fooled. Those who you want to defend and die for, when you wake up in the morning and you can't get water, the children hungry, and they can't send them to school, look at how those people live it. When you bounce your toe, you fall long, you break your hand, you get sick, and you have to go to the health center and wait 8 to 10 hours before you get some level of attention, and then to be told we don't have no medication. I want you to go and ask them to provide the same thing for you. I want you to go and ask them, those same people who you so want to die for and defend, I want them to go and pay that bill for you. And here what they will tell you. Only when they want something, they're your friends. The immediate day after, they don't know you. Live in the real world, people. I'm not just talking because I have a mouth on my face. I'm talking based on experience. I'm talking based on facts. And I'm speaking on behalf of my community. I'm speaking on behalf of my constituency. I am here to serve you. I don't, honestly, Felicia, and Trinidad and Tobago by extension, I don't care who your allegiance is to. My job is to serve you. You can be
Matthew,
diehard yellow, you can be diehard red. That's my job, to serve you.
well, we have just about 2 minutes. Please, I'm going to give you 1 minute to address your constituents of Chaguanas East. This is your opportunity. I'm not sure whether you might come on this program again before elections because we have over 30 candidates to do this, and we have just under 31 days. So please address your constituents of Chaguanas West, of Chaguanas East, on yourself as being a representative for your area.
Well, to sum it up, Felicia, as me going to be the elected representative for my constituency, again I'll say I am here to offer my community and my people real solutions because I want to be part of that solution. I want to know what it's like to get up and don't have to worry about, hey, if it have water, oh God, I can't flush the toilet, I can't wash, I can't do this. I want to experience that too because I live in that same community. I want to be able to get up and walk outside and see the youths working. I want to see out of school projects or what have you being offered to the youths. They are our next generation. These are some of the things that I want to bring to my community. Again, the level of energy and enthusiasm in which I'm going to address all of these things with. Also, I want to inspire the youths for them to move forward and give them a sense of hope. We have people, we have our children, we have some of us sacrificing so hard, mortgaging our homes, mortgaging our lives to pay for an education for our children. And what next? They are going to graduate into unprecedented unemployment. How can we expect them to have hope when there's nothing for them to embrace? We as a people, Chaguanas East, we need to know where we are. I am that guy. I am going to give you what you need. I'm going to fight for what you need, and I'm not going to stop. Whether I'm elected or not, I'm not going to stop. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. That's just who I am. These people need
No
that
need,
level of direction.
no need to be apologetic about that, Matthew. I think your constituents should appreciate or would appreciate the effort that you are putting in. Not even a member of parliament yet, and still fighting hard for the rights of your constituency. So, with that, Matthew, I would like to Robert Matthew Gibbs, and we need to start correcting that on your Facebook as well as your this program as well. Name and brand recognition is everything. Trust me. As something as simple as a letter off in your name can throw off people because they're looking for a particular person on that ballot paper. So we're going to start calling you Robert Matthew Gibbs from now on. Anyway, with that, Matthew, thank you very much for joining us on the program this morning. All the best in your election campaign. I see you putting in the work on the ground. I'm seeing you working with the other people within the Chaguanas Hub, under which the Progressive Empowerment Party is divided. And I wish you guys all the luck in the world. Matthew, I would be calling you to schedule you on some radio interviews starting next week. So please be on the lookout for that and come prepared, because the people of the residents of Chaguanas East want to hear from you as their next elected member of parliament.
Not a problem, Felicia. Thank you for the opportunity. And mostly, I would like to thank Mr. Alexander for giving us hope, for giving us a platform on which we can carry this nation forward, for giving us policies that will provide solutions. And those solutions will give us a better country across the floor. That is what we stand for. That is what I stand for. That is what I am going to bring to my people of Chaguanas East. That is the representation you're guaranteed of. Thank you, everybody.
And thank you, Matthew. Trinidad and Tobago, we are at the end of the program. Next week, Monday, we will be joined by Benison Jagasa, who is the representative for San Fernando West. We will be having an interview with him. There's just one last thing I want to leave with you. This upcoming election is going to be a game changer for Trinidad and Tobago, a game changer. There has never been an election with so much anticipation, so much uncertainty surrounding it, and uncertainty not for the new political parties but for the incumbent government, who I think got a little comfortable parading themselves around for the past 4.5 years and now have to answer as to what they would have accomplished. The Progressive Empowerment Party, we are gunning for parliament. We are gunning for that opportunity to finally give Trinidad and Tobago real representation. There are many people who are going to be diehard and there are many people who are going to say that they're not sure who they're voting for and they're not certain. Not many. There are some people who are going to say that. I want you, the members of the Progressive Empowerment Party, the supporters of the Progressive Empowerment Party, the 50% that do not vote. This election is for you. This election is your opportunity to bring about the real change, real solutions, real ideas, forward-thinking processes to Trinidad and Tobago that is finally going to bring us into the 21st century and not lagging behind in the 1970s, where we seem to be stuck as it pertains to all systems of government. It is time, Trinidad and Tobago, it is time that we take ourselves forward. Let's stop waiting for people to do it. And the only way we're going to do that, the country that we want, is on the other side of our votes. The only way we're going to do that is with your support. So August 10th, between now and then, get yourselves in order, because it's time. I don't want to use that. Oh my God, I think UNC uses that. I sanitize and rebuke. The time for real change is now. I don't want to say it's time, because it's time for plenty things, but the time for real change, people, real change is now. Thank you for joining us. We will be back on Monday. We have Matthew and I have a lot of work to do before 9 a.m. this morning, as well as the other nominees for the Progressive Empowerment Party. I wish you guys all the luck in the world, and to the viewing audience, we will be back on Monday. Have a safe weekend, and remember, let's stay together by staying apart. Bye-bye.